Next up, we have Mira Colton, and she is a compelling and amazing story. She's not an academic, not a researcher. She was someone who was a patient who ended up marrying her doctor. Her doctor was Dr. Jason Colton. Her story reveals how powerful proper supplementation can be and how it can change your life and maybe even save your life. It's good to hear from the people who've had the personal experience. So enjoy this interview with Mira Colton. Mira, thank you very much for taking the time.
Absolutely.
And you have quite a story.
I do. It's a crazy one.
So I've heard. So we like crazy.
Okay, good.
So tell us kind of your story, what got you into doing what you're doing today.
Well, I was like a lot of women. I was in my early 30s. It was just actually my 30th birthday that year. And I had my own company in New York City, and I was one of those high-intensity, A-type personalities, have to work harder, overstressed, underfed, didn't sleep enough. And I owned my own company, and I just was working a lot of hours. And slowly my back started really hurting. And I thought to myself, well, it's just too many hours. I'm wearing too high of heels. There has to be an excuse. Maybe I did it at the gym yesterday. Right. And it lasted months. And once it got to a year and I was actually doing my job lying on my sofa, completely unable to actually do my job as a publicist any longer, laying on the couch with my computer on my chest and trying to pretend like everything was okay. At that point, I said, okay, gotta go see the doctor. And he diagnosed me with advanced osteoporosis. Said,
at that age?
At 30. Said, you're not going to get any better. Get used to it. You're going to be bedridden. You're going to take a lot of medications. And that's life. And that's what they left me with. They told me calcium, which is probably why I got into supplements. Because the one thing they told me beyond the medications was, you're going to need calcium. So I was like, okay. Had to sell my company. Had to move in and move out of New York City. Had to move to Florida, have someone take care of me, my sister, luckily. And started doing research. You have a lot of time to do research when you think you've hit the bottom.
Right.
And just started looking at everything, and it was like calcium. Well, calcium's a mineral. What does that do? I had no clue, because you don't get any education in this as an American. Right. And so I saw calcium, and then I was like, wait a minute, it's a mineral. But wait a minute, so's magnesium. Uh-oh. And vitamin D, and my head just started spinning. Right. And I started doing as much as I could on my own with what research was available. And finally, I wasn't getting anywhere. And I was lucky enough to find Dr. Colton, who was at that point not my husband. And we started working together on a micronutrient therapy. And just to make it really obvious what micronutrients are to us, is there's 4 families of micronutrients. Vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, and amino acids. And every single one of those groups works together in unison to create health. What we discovered was that I had become extremely depleted in these micronutrients due to numerous things that I had been doing in my life. So much so that osteoporosis took over and I was losing my bone density.
Can you discuss maybe a few of those numerous things, maybe the biggest culprits so people might understand?
Absolutely. So stress. Stress is a huge micronutrient depleter, and we are overwhelmed with stress these days. So your B vitamins get used up much faster in times of stress. Vitamin C, omega-3, all of these nutrients play a key component in building bone. Additionally, I was a low-fat, zero-fat pretty much dieter who ate the same things every single day, not realizing that you need fat in order to properly absorb micronutrients, that you're spending all this money on this great organic food that's filled with vegetables and all this stuff, but if you don't have the oil on top, if you don't give your body some natural fats, some healthy fats to absorb it, you're wasting your food. I exercised all the time. I would take 2 hip-hop classes a day. I absolutely loved it.
Right.
But of course, that stuff that comes pouring out of you, that sweat, that's your electrolytes, and those are just micronutrients again. So you're using them up faster.
Right.
So it was all these things on top of, my daily poor diet that I thought was a good diet, but it wasn't, not for where my bone density was concerned. And it just slowly deteriorated my bones.
And clearly it wasn't good luck, bad luck from the genetic side of things. It was literally just the way you were living.
Absolutely. My sister doesn't have it. My mom doesn't have it. And that's actually one of the major things that we research now is it genetic?
Right.
Is micronutrient deficiency the cause of these diseases, or are they genetic? And what we found is by far the answer is that it's lifestyle and dietary nutrition habits that are causing us to become depleted. And these micronutrients are our body's only way of dealing with the daily processes of living.
Right.
So we have to have all of them every single day, or else our bodies start to collapse.
So now you meet your now husband at the time, not your husband.
Not my husband at the time. We worked together for 2 years at that time, and then we went back for a bone density scan.
Right.
And I had no osteoporosis. My osteopenia was gone. My bones had rebuilt. And I'm not saying it's that easy for everyone, but when I looked at what I had done, and I was able to pinpoint very specific things, birth control, off of that, stop the high exercise. And when I was able to change all those things one by one, I was able to rebuild my bones very quickly.
And so as far as your symptoms at that point, 2 years later, were you feeling like your normal self or even better than what might have been your normal self?
I'm a lot bigger. You don't realize when you think that you're getting really, really skinny, a lot of times it's not just your fat you're losing. I was losing muscle,
Right.
and I was losing my bones. So my bones, my whole body was really teeny. I was a teeny girl.
Right.
And I thought that was great at the time, but I didn't realize that was illness.
Right.
That wasn't health. Now I lift weights and I bodybuild and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things that, I feel so much better, obviously.
But as far as the pain, you weren't on a couch anymore.
No, I'm certainly not on a couch
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
I travel the world almost all year round. I love adventure, and I do not live in fear of the fact that if I fall down, I'm going to break.
So how long ago was it when you had that, it was 2 years later, you did your bone density and everything seemed to be back to normal?
Well, that would have been around 32, and I'm 48.
so it's a while
It's
ago.
been a long time.
So when we go back then, though, what I'm curious about, just because as people are trying to track your trajectory, when you did the assessments, the quantitative assessments like your bone density, you say, wow, this is all back to normal. This was 2 years into your journey.
Right.
At that moment in time, how were your symptoms? Did you symptomatically feel better back then?
Oh, I definitely started feeling better over the period of those 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I was no longer on the couch. I was walking regularly every day. I was doing weightlifting to try to get that osteogenic load, because I can give my body the nutrients it needs, but unless it gets the load from weightlifting, it's not actually going to want to build. So
now, and then maybe this is one other thing I want to point out here, because not everybody's going to be as lucky to meet a future husband that has an expertise in the area that they have a challenge. The proverbial match made in heaven, maybe. But so when you were going through this, as you're starting your journey, you started trying to find recovery. What was it emotional like for you? Did you have much hope, a little bit of hope?
I didn't have much hope. They gave me no hope.
Yeah, and that's what it sounded like when the doctor said, here's some calcium and good luck and this is life.
Absolutely. I couldn't very much find any other people that were in their 30s that had advanced osteoporosis either. I think more and more now on Facebook, we do have whole rooms. I'm a member of a bunch of different rooms for osteoporosis that are all premenopausal women in their 30s and men in their 30s, which is really scary that men are starting to get osteoporosis and even children are, which proves the point that it's not genetic.
Right.
It's not aging.
Right.
Because if children are getting it, it's just like diabetes. It is a lifestyle disease that we are getting due to what we are doing to our bodies.
Yeah.
Also, I think testing is great. Micronutrient testing, if you think that micronutrients might be a basis for why you're not getting healthier, take a test. There's some fantastic full spectrum tests. I like SpectraCell myself, but there's some fantastic full spectrum tests from vitamins A to zinc, your amino acids, your omega-3 fatty acids. And once you get that, most clients come to us and they are deficient.
Yeah.
And I can pinpoint and say, this is what you're doing, and this is what you're doing, and this is what you're doing. And slowly, they take it again 3 months later after learning how to supplement smart. And then all of a sudden you can see that these gaps are being met. And you can start to feel that these gaps are being met and that you're feeling better. And it's really important for a lot of people to see that progress.
Was there a moment in time where that almost sense of hopelessness where you recognized something or discovered something to say, oh my gosh, I think there's hope for me now. I can have a better future?
Absolutely.
What was that?
So for us, the biggest game changer by far is micronutrient competition. A lot of people call it micronutrient antagonisms. When you're told that you have osteoporosis, the first thing you do is you get your calcium and magnesium, a vitamin D, a few different things that you're told are going to be important. But what you might not recognize is that micronutrients, in order to be absorbed by your body, have to go through absorption pathways. And they have receptor sites. And the big aha moment was, oh my God, I'm taking nutrients that are competing with each other. And once we realized that, and then we started to map out on a huge whiteboard all of the micronutrients that compete with each other, we found out that there are over I think it's 80 something or 48 different micronutrient competitions within the 40 micronutrients commonly found in multivitamin, or 88% of all micronutrients have at least one competition.
Wow.
So I'm being told to supplement. I'm putting it on my body at once, and I'm wondering why it wasn't working. So the aha moment was, oh my God, if we separate them, there's hope.
Wow.
And we started doing that. Every single micronutrient was taken separately at different times of the day until we figured out how the grid worked.
Well, you know what's interesting about this is that, let's say you're somebody that's maybe not faced with a serious health challenge like you were, and you start to take a bunch of supplementation. You're not really going to notice if things are canceling each other out because you don't feel that bad anyway.
Right.
You're just trying to be proactive in your health. So it actually took you to saying, hey, I'm taking all this stuff, I'm not getting anywhere with it, to try to figure out a level deeper. Why
wasn't it?
And you're saying that these neutralize basically is it's almost a zero-sum game. If this and this are at the same time, then you get nothing.
Well, you get at least a limited amount.
Yeah.
And it can happen not just when they're taken at the same time. And science knows this.
Yeah.
This is one of the crazy things, because you can go on the groceries, our local grocery store here's website, and they actually have an entire thing on their website about antagonisms between supplements. And if you look at it, they talk about the multivitamin and all the problems the multivitamin is going to have.
Wow.
Now, we're not the only formulators that know about this. Obviously, lots of formulators around the world understand antagonism. But you have to really care about wanting to make something that's going to work if you're going to try to separate all these things, because it is timely, it's not cost effective, and it happens even when you put two things in the same supplement. They can actually bond together in the pill themselves and negate each other.
Wow. So now, because this is one of the most important questions we're asking throughout this series, is what should a consumer know? What do they need to understand, or what are the pitfalls or the downside of supplementation? Is that your number one?
Well, we actually say that there's 4.
Okay.
So we actually defined it with the ABCs of optimal supplementation, because we want to break it down and make it as easy as I would have liked it to have been when I was going through all this.
Right.
So A is absorption. Certain things hinder absorption, such as binders, fillers, excipients. You do not want to have sugar in there. Sugar actually blocks the absorption of specific micronutrients. So why they're sticking that in these gummy bears and in your pills is absolutely ridiculous.
Okay.
And you don't want colors in there, because the colors actually have been shown to make people some people consider them to have cancer issues, and some people have hyperactivity with children.
Right.
So absorption.
Okay.
Liquids are more absorbable than tablets. And if you're going to take a capsule or pill, make sure it's been noted that it disintegrates within the 20-minute period it needs. And there are certain brands that have done that. So that's something you can easily ask the manufacturer. First of all, have an open conversation with the manufacturer, because they're trying to sell you something. The least they can do is answer your questions.
And a good manufacturer would be very willing to do that.
Absolutely.
And somebody who's trying to avoid you, you should avoid them.
Dodgy is dodgy.
Dodgy. Good word.
The next thing is beneficial quantities and forms. That's what the B stands for. So it's like you go to the car lot, and you spend all this money on a car. You think you're getting a Porsche.
Right.
They gave you a Yugo.
Right.
See, if you don't know what you're getting, then you can just pay it out the nose and not know any better. So there's a different form for each micronutrient. So, for example, calcium citrate, calcium maltate. There's all different forms. And some are Yugos and some are Porsches. And you have to be able to understand that a little bit and find a company that's giving you bioactive forms, methylated forms, things that are going to make it easier for you to absorb the micronutrients.
And how do you have to just do your own research to figure that out, or?
We offer lists on our website.
Okay.
I mean, we do, because I think that everyone deserves to have it.
Yes.
And it's going to be one of those things that if you go to, if you start looking at some of the forms that they're using and you see that they're using junk, it's because, their formulator said, hi, Bob, I know you want to make a vitamin. There's the one that's going to cost you $10, and there's the one that's going to cost you $100 per gram. And it's up to the manufacturer to say, I want the expensive one.
Right.
Because they're always going to try to keep the prices down. So if you notice that they're using some inexpensive things, they're probably doing it across the board.
Right.
And some can actually be dangerous,
Right.
not just not as absorbable. There's actually certain forms that are found to be dangerous.
Toxic, or when you say?
Some are. Vitamin D2, for example, if it's in your supplement, and it's actually found in a lot of milk products where they're trying to add in more D, it's been shown in studies to reduce your vitamin D levels.
Wow.
Well, that's absolutely horrific that they're putting it into almond milk and soy milk, and they're doing this in the concept of bettering things, but in reality, they can drive down your vitamin D levels.
And is D2 just less expensive than D3? That's why they...
Absolutely.
So they just want to be able to make a claim to sell product, but not necessarily support your health.
Absolutely. Label claims are, what people go after. And so sometimes they give you a product that they know isn't going to do anything for you simply because it's cheaper.
Wow. What else?
Beneficial forms of beneficial quantities. You have to have enough of it.
Yeah.
I challenge most people to go into their cabinet and to look at their multivitamin. Does it have vitamin K2? Like, this is huge. Because if not, the calcium in your product can go and cause arteriosclerosis. It can give you calcium plaque in your arteries and cause heart attacks.
Let's walk through it for a second. So you're saying if the K2's not there,
Right.
then what's going to happen is the calcium's going to be stuck in the vessels as compared to pushed into the cells.
bone.
Yeah, the
Which
bone.
you want it to go into the bone. And
Right.
K2 is like the director. It's like, okay, over here. And so that's what happens. And so most products will give you K1, and unless you're a savvy consumer, you don't realize that K1 is not going to convert into K2 at any level that you need it. You really want to make sure it has K2. K2 is more expensive again, and there's different forms they have to consider. So a lot of companies don't even do that. Magnesium, most people give you like 10% of your daily requirements for magnesium. Magnesium is so important.
Why is magnesium important?
Oh my God, it has I think it's 300 different biological functions in your body.
Wow.
My specialty is obviously osteoporosis, so you're not going to get anywhere building your building your bones without the magnesium levels up. It's going to help you sleep at night. It's going to get rid of migraines. I mean, there's so many things. It's going to keep your stomach, regulated. It does so many things, and it's just really important. And most people don't include it in their products.
A lot of people feel like there's a generalized lack of magnesium in the American diet, or the Western diet, if you will. Are you in agreement with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're not getting enough. It's being depleted by a lot of things that we're doing. And then on top of that, the products that for some reason so magnesium is really bulky.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't fit neatly into a capsule or a tablet. As well as calcium. Those are the two minerals that are really, really bulky to use when you're formulating. So you would have to make at least 3 to 4 capsules to have the daily requirement for magnesium and calcium. Now, most formulators know that nobody wants to take 4 capsules every single day.
Right.
So therefore, they're not even putting it in there because they want people to buy the product.
Wow. So in your own solution to that as a manufacturer formulator,
Oh, we put it in there.
you put it, okay. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
We have 420 milligrams of magnesium and 500 of calcium. And what we did is we made it a liquid.
Yeah.
We made it a powdered formula where you add your own water. It's easy to travel with. You pour in water. But when it's a powdered formula that's a drink mix, we can put it as much as we want because it
Right.
dissolves in the water.
Right.
So it's not cumbersome. It doesn't, make anyone have to drink, eat 1 million tablets if they don't want to.
Are there particular forms of magnesium that are, like you mentioned calcium, the varying forms of calcium, or the varying forms of magnesium that matter?
Absolutely. We actually like magnesium citrate as a solution because it doesn't require you to have food in your system in order to absorb it.
Okay.
So, and because we're so concerned about competition, so that's one of our big things. I don't want you to eat a big meal where you just blocked all your receptors with all the great nutrients from your food and then pop a pill or take a drink, because your receptors aren't open to accept what I'm trying to give them.
Right.
So we always do it on an empty stomach, and that's one of the reasons the citrate forms are really easily to digest.
Terrific. Well, we got through A's and B's. What's the C's?
C is the micronutrient competition
Okay.
that we just discussed. Micronutrients compete for absorption, receptor sites, they compete for formulation space, they degrade each other, and that's really, really key. It happens all the time. And if you're taking a supplement and the goal of taking a supplement is to become sufficient, then taking a supplement that blocks itself is like putting, something in your own way.
Right. So now if I'm a consumer, and have an interest in supplementation, now I feel like I've been drinking from the fire hose, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, I didn't spend years, researching my own problem and coming to all these conclusions.
Yes.
And you have simplified it to a degree, saying, kind of the ABCs. But is there an easier path, without getting into comprehensive, research and review, for a consumer to say, okay, I just want to be able to sort through this and come to a conclusion and make sure I make a good investment in my supplements?
We give people checklists on our site where they can literally go through the ABCs with any product they want, not just our products. in our products, we've of course taken care of those 4 formulation flaws.
Right.
So there's no competitions. All the S for synergies are met. So the ones that should be with each other help to boost the absorption utilization of them. So the ABCs are all taken care of in our products.
What's the website?
It's Colton, Calton, nutrition.com.
Great.
And they can go to ABCs of supplementation, and they can actually download these sheets to use on their own products.
Great.
It's not, take some time and look at it for yourself.
Right.
It doesn't take very long to do.
Got it. So that's thank you for creating a solution.
Well, yeah, it's all of our books go over it as well. You can pick up the books at the library and do your own research. But it's really important. If I hadn't been forced to do it, I probably would have never done it. But I know it helps all of our clients. We get everyone tested in the Spectra cells, and we can see them go from micronutrient sufficiency levels that are just plummeting to really full micronutrient sufficiency in a matter of 3 to 4 months.
So this is interesting and probably got to be frustrating for you, because there's people who basically say, I'm going to look towards supplementation as a solution, but they make the mistakes you're talking about. They don't get results, and they feel like the whole supplement paradigm is a fraud.
Right, absolutely.
And so that's got to be frustrating when people thought they tried, and now they're looking at supplements and casting them aside. And I know that there's a lot of academics who also think, you got expensive urine, you're wasting it,
yes, absolutely.
as compared to saying, wow, there's really something here that can change people's lives. In your case, obviously, you were very sick. You're in the traditional medical system, and it was going to leave you sick and degenerating over time. And literally, just through supplementation and doing it right, you had a transformation.
Absolutely. And I think that, if you look at a multivitamin, and that's the simplest form of supplement we can discuss today. If you look at a multivitamin as something that should deliver A through Z of all your vitamins and minerals, then you would expect it to be this miracle cure.
Right.
Because it's going to fit. And that's what people expect. They go to the store, they pick up a one-a-day type nutrient solution, and they pop it, and they're wondering why they're not feeling better.
Right.
Nothing's getting in line, and
Right.
they're very frustrated. And then you go to your doctor, he says, oh, that's just expensive urine. And what we would say is, that's true. That is expensive urine.
Yeah.
That's really garbage. You didn't have great forms in it. It wasn't in a good delivery system. All the competitions were at play, and none of the synergies. You got no omega-3, which is another family of the micronutrients you still need to take.
Right.
And your amino acids are low. So yes, you have expensive urine. You bought it for $19.95. I'm not shocked.
Yeah.
But we can change that
Yep.
by reformulating things with knowledge and making sure that it is something that can increase your micronutrient sufficiency.
Are you a fan of the multivitamin? Do you think there's any such thing as a multivitamin combination that works, or do you formulate one?
We formulated one.
Yeah.
We have 2 packages, an AM and a PM. All the competitions are separated. We have 100% of everything you need. Vitamin D is a little bit higher because we believe that you need more vitamin D, and the calcium's lower because you can't absorb 1,200 milligrams of calcium at once.
Right.
So we've done all that work for you. We literally sat in front of a whiteboard for 6 years working on the patent.
Wow.
And the patent office does not give out patents easily, especially in this area. They think we're pretty much quacks.
Right.
And we had to sit down with their scientists and review each one of the micronutrient competitions, show proof that eliminating them would actually increase absorption. So do I feel confident in the fact that we've done it? Absolutely. But I like it even more when the clients come back and their levels are much higher.
How many books have you written?
Oh my. I think we've got 4 books out and a textbook made for doctors. And the 5th one's coming up. So
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what are the subjects of the books?
Naked Calories was our first, and that's really the explanation of why we're in a micronutrient deficient world. And that goes
Why
over...
naked calories? Does that mean that you're getting calories that have no nutritional benefit?
Absolutely. So they've been stripped of their micronutrient benefit. Right. And that's because obviously the over-farming of our crops leads the food to have less micronutrients because the soil has less micronutrients.
So soil depletion is one of the reasons why there's supplementation becomes an essential for today's world.
Absolutely. It starts in the soil. That's where we're going to get these minerals. But the problem doesn't end there because then we have rising CO2 levels. And that has been shown, again, to deplete the minerals that are already in the soil.
Wow.
Add on that glyphosate and GMOs, and regardless of what you think of GMOs or glyphosate, the truth is that it has absolutely been proven that they lower the micronutrient levels in your food.
We did a whole docuseries on GMOs, so
so we got that.
We're well versed there. Yeah.
So it's going to starve your food even more.
Yes.
And then what happens? It has to get delivered to you.
Yeah.
And it's getting delivered from across the world, across the country, and every minute of every mile that your food travels to your table, it is depleted more and more of micronutrients over time.
Right. And if you look, ancestrally, we ate food that came out of the ground near where we lived.
Absolutely.
As compared to having it shipped and with all the other factors you already described. So that's why there would be a difference.
Absolutely. When my husband and I first got married, after we reversed my osteoporosis, we wanted to see, was what I had learned about my own body, did that have any validation in the rest of the world?
Right.
Could we go to primitive cultures where they were getting micronutrients directly from unspoiled earth, getting water directly from the freshly mineralized water from the caves? And could these countries and could these people still be completely healthy? And what was it that we were doing wrong? And we did. We spent 7 years trekking around the world, and we lived with tribes on all 7 continents and studied these people. And one of the things we noticed was they didn't have any disease. Mm-hmm. It was unbelievable. These guys who were like 70, 80 were just ripped. And they were in amazing shape. They would plant. They would even move the crops from season to season, because they realized that there were soil issues. And it was really fascinating to see how we cared for the earth really, really mattered to our own survival and micronutrients.
So is it basically as simple as what you're eating is going to really dictate what your life, longevity, health, and wellness is going to be like? I mean, obviously, stress, other parts of modern society are going to impact. But when you're saying you're with these indigenous tribes in varying places, and you're looking at people who have aged and without disease,
right,
it's literally attributable to the food supply.
It's attributed to the food supply and lifestyle habits.
Yeah.
We like to look at lifestyle habits as well, because they walk numerous miles every day. They're not sitting on their butts just in front of a computer and a screen, all day long. So they have that going in their favor. There's also something called community, and purpose, which I think is so important. Yeah. These people really feel like they are playing a role in the environment that they live in.
So it's a spiritual side.
It's a spiritual side as well.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they're not stressed out. They're not doing, aerobics 3 times a day just for the fun of it. They're doing a lot of things right. There's no toxins.
Right.
Because the only way our bodies fight toxins is by using up micronutrients.
Yeah.
We actually use our antioxidants in order to cleanse our own body from these toxins. And we're living in toxic soup these days.
So the feeling is that even though our bellies are full, we're slowly starving ourselves to death, over time.
And that's one of the greatest theories of obesity, is that because our bellies are full, but our micronutrient stores are completely depleted, our bodies are thinking,
it's craving.
Eat. And because they're trying to do it the only way we know how.
Right.
These are really old DNA going on here, and we're trying to get food the only possible way we know how, which is to put in our mouths.
Yeah.
And of course, it's just more naked calories, driving our weight up and making our depletion continue on.
All right, that's poignant. What are the book titles?
Naked Calories, Rich Food, Poor Food, which is just a grocery store guide that anyone can use. It goes aisle by aisle and shows you how to do this.
Right, that's great.
Micronutrient Miracle. Mm-hmm. The one for the doctors doesn't count.
But I'm assuming Micronutrient Miracle is just about what you're describing, as far as how the micronutrients support your health and get you to thrive, et cetera.
Absolutely. Micronutrient Miracle actually gives you 9 distinct protocols, depending on what complaints you have. It helps you identify which micronutrients your diet is deficient in, which micronutrients your lifestyle is adding to those deficiencies, and then helps you look at whichever micronutrient, whichever situation, current health complication you have, and which micronutrients will help you get that in control.
So here you are, a 30-year-old unwell publicist, running a company in New York City. You could never have predicted, what you're doing right now.
No.
I mean, who could look forward and say, I'm going to be in this completely different world. Once you got into this world and you got into this business, now you're on the providing side of the equation as compared to the consumer side. What's the biggest surprise being in this world for you?
How much it still affects me.
What do you mean by affects you?
Just emotionally. Getting the emails, that sort of thing, obviously.
Is that what keeps you going?
It does.
Yeah. So when you see your purpose in this, like, when you get up in the morning to do this, what is the purpose? What's driving you right now?
Hoping that somebody else gets it before they get so sick. Right. Hoping that somebody else gets the information.
Yeah. So because I see that you've built solutions that you needed to find for yourself, but there's a lot of people.
Not everyone's going to find it, Jason.
Right.
Not everyone's going to get that lucky. But what I always say is, people write me every single day, reaching out. And I write everyone back and I say to them, look, I can't do the work. I'm going to be here, but here's your homework. do these things, read this, understand this, and then you can call me and we can talk over email and we can help you get there. But unless you're going to actually say, I'm so invested in this that I'm going to do some work on this, then you're not really that invested. So, if you do have a health problem or condition, know that you're the first person that has to come to your defense.
Right.
And it's not until you start getting that drive and that ambition to make the changes, because it is work.
Is there a practice you have to stay connected like that? I know a lot of people, they start out with their own personal challenges or pain, and they find a purpose in it, and they bring it to the world, et cetera. Then they create success. And next thing you know, they're sort of disconnected from that original purpose. You seem 100% connected to it.
After all these years, you'd think I wouldn't be. Yeah. The emails that come in where they are reaching out go beyond the customer service. They come directly to me.
I was going to say, so you're not delegating those?
No, those do not. I mean, they try to answer if it's a specific question about a micronutrient, but if they say, I'm at my wit's end, I have this condition, this changes my life, then by all means, I'll call them on the phone.
Well, I have to tell you that you've said a lot of things that are unique, in all the conversations that we have. So thank you for contributing that. And our wish is that right now you're going to connect with a lot of people who are looking for answers. And I just appreciate your passion, your purpose, and the fact that you're doing all this.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, it's such an important topic to me, and giving us a platform to help others through micronutrient deficiency is really our goal here. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. One of the things that motivated me to want to do this series was the impact I knew it could have on people's lives. And that interview with Mira really speaks to how profound supplementation can be and how it can upgrade your life and maybe even save your life or those that you care about. Thanks for being on this journey with us.